Hello, and thank you for joining us for this important webinar today. This is Michelle Shanahan from WM Synergy, and I have a few housekeeping notes to go over before we get started. All lines are currently muted and will remain on mute for the duration of this event. We invite you to submit written questions using the question panel feature on your control panel, and we'll answer questions at the end of this session. We will have some interactive polls, and we'd appreciate your participation in them. Please note that a brief survey will launch at the conclusion of this event. We'd appreciate you taking a few moments to respond to the questions, as your valuable feedback will help us improve future events. This session is being recorded, and I will email you a link to the recording within 24 hours. Without further delay, it's my pleasure to introduce today's speakers, starting with Paul Tedford. Over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Michelle, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, or good afternoon. Just turned 12:02. My name is Paul Tedford, CEO of WM Synergy, and I'm glad to introduce Shannon Vaillancourt and Sean McGee. Shannon?
Yeah, thanks again, everyone, for joining us today, and thank you, Paul, and for putting this together. So again, my name's Shannon Vaillancourt. I'm the president and founder here at RateLinx. More on the technical side, been in the transportation industry for about 30 years now. So looking forward to our conversation today with Sean and Paul.
And Sean?
Yep, I'm Sean McGee. I'm a project manager at Wirebelt Company of America. Been here for about 8 years, and actually the one helping out with our shipping software integration. But definitely happy to be here with you guys. So.
Thanks, Sean.
Great, thanks, guys. So the core component of today's discussion is the Wirebelt Company of America's story and their continued growth and success, especially how technology approach has helped power their company forward, which we'll talk about as part of today's conversation as well. So Sean, tell us a little bit about Wirebelt Company of America to give our audience some context.
Yeah, so we're located in Bedford, New Hampshire. We have sister companies over in England and Germany. So we actually manufacture metal conveyor belts and components, mainly for the food processing industry. So think of poultry, baking, frying, candy industries, etc. I've been doing it for over 100 years. So if you guys ever go into a hotel and you see that little toaster oven and you put your bagel in there, you see the little belt in there, that's something that we make, but it's just larger scale. So
that's great. Can you tell us a little bit about the scale and mix of your transportation operations?
Yeah, we ship worldwide. We maybe do about 50 to 60 orders a day, but a majority of it is actually volume based. So depending on the line item, there could be a large quantity on there. So for instance, we could ship a customer 1,000 feet of the same belt and they want it in 50-foot rolls. So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of parcel shipments, but a lot of it is LTL. We have a lot of pallets go out with multiple boxes. We even build our own crates depending on the belt and how heavy it is. Sometimes we even have freestanding packages that go LTL just due to the weight. But besides that, we do a lot of order consolidation as well. We have customers that order multiple times per week. So we just try to gather orders based on our production schedule and just get product out the door, which is less downtime for our customers. So I'd say all in all, it's a pretty good mix of everything.
Wonderful. And before we move on, we'd like to launch our first interactive poll. So we'd appreciate everyone participating in this, and I'm going to launch it right now. What is your annual shipping spend? We'll give everyone a few seconds to respond to this. About half of you have responded so far, so we're going to give it another 10 seconds and then we'll share the results. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and I will share.
So it's a tight race between under 1 million and 1 million to 5 million in annual shipping spend. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, back to you, Sean. Before looking for a TMS, how were you managing shipping?
Yeah, so we were using a software that was customized to us where it was fully integrated with visual, but that ended up going away. And then afterwards, we just found a quick solution just to help us get product out the door, but we just lost some efficiencies along the way with, time and the amount of paper that we were printing and the extra steps that it took to get stuff out the door. So those are some of the stuff that stood out to us.
And what were some of the challenges that existed relating to the shipping process?
Well, during that time, we were using 2 different screens to process a shipment. On top of that, I think all of our parcel and freight shipments were in different places, so we were prone to errors sometimes. A lot of the order consolidation that we did, it took a lot of extra steps from going from one screen to another. Also, with our old process, we were going through a lot of paperwork, especially for customs docs. For instance, we would, do a lot of shipments to Canada, and a lot of them would be consolidated orders. But every time that we would print out documents for this, it would print out documents for each line item and not just one set of documents for just everything that was consolidated. So those are definitely some of the challenges that stood out to us.
Okay, great. And before we move on, we're going to launch our second poll. So we'd appreciate everyone participating in this. And here it goes. What are your top shipping issues today? And please check all that apply. And we have about 25% of you have voted so far. We'll give you another 10 seconds or so. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and share the results. Here we go.
So hard to rate shop and takes too much time leading the way, but everybody had, or all of them got an answer. So order consolidation about 57%, and can't upgrade visual because of shipping system, which we can certainly help with, is 21%. So yeah, we've seen each of these issues with our visual customers.
Great. So Paul, Sean talked to us about his challenges. Do you see a lot of these same challenges across the industry?
We do. We've been working with about 1,800 ERP customers over the last 25 years, and through those years, we've seen customers use multiple manifest systems or other shipping systems, or developed our own shipping systems to help with things like UPS and FedEx integration. But what most of these customers want is to be able to do this all from one screen, so they can do parcel and freight, as Sean said, from one screen. They want to be able to train their users quickly without having to train them on 2 different ways to do things. They would cause, as some had mentioned in the poll, upgrade issues, because sometimes it'd be missing functionality, which would cause issues when you go to upgrade because you had to customize the ERP to do that. So we've seen many of these. So it was great to partner with RateLinx and have Sean and the Wirebelt team experience the improved shipping for both parcel and freight, all in one screen in one place with tight integration to visual.
Great. So back to you, Sean. Why did you choose ShipLinx TMS, and how did it solve the issues for you?
Yeah, I mean, we like how it was fully integrated with visual. A lot of things will write back in terms of, freight terms, freight costs, ship views, tracking numbers. We definitely love the ability just to use one screen to process any kind of shipment, whether it's international, parcel, LTL. The order consolidation is simple, where we're able to just choose a master order and then look at our backlog and then choose any other orders for that particular customer to have it all consolidated. And we definitely like how it's cloud-based and how it has automatic updates every time that you restart the client. So if you come in the next morning and you just open it up, you have the latest and greatest version.
Great. Can you talk to us about the implementation? How long did it take and from start to finish?
Yeah, I mean, I would say ours probably took about maybe 4 months in total. You know, we operate on a lot of if-then statements. So we just tried to come up with a bunch of different scenarios that would, you know, obviously have a positive impact on shipping, but in our other departments as well. You know, just thinking in terms of, you know, orders that have work orders generated with it or tracking information, freight costs. So we just tried to, you know, keep in mind of everything. But I know that like Shannon and his team have been extremely helpful and knowledgeable with throughout the whole process. You know, going back to those if-then statements, you know, we would think that it might be a hard request, or if we ran into an issue that we might throw them a curveball. But when we came to them, like a lot of the stuff just got resolved right away, and you know, we couldn't be happier.
That's really great to hear. So Paul, there are lots of nightmare implementations out there. This sounds like a lot different, don't you think?
It does sound a lot different. You know, just a few months to get up and running on a consolidated consolidated system. We've seen other implementations like we talked about prior that, you know, either you couldn't ship from WIP, and some of our customers ship from WIP, some of them ship from stock, and some of these manifest systems will only allow one or the other, so then you'd be building that custom, and that would drag on the implementation for many months to sometimes a year. So great to hear that, Sean.
All right, Shannon, let's bring you in here. How did you work with Wirebelt to understand and decide the right data points to integrate with their ERP, and that would streamline their process?
Yeah, I mean, the process that we follow, it really is collaborative, is how we work with the customers. And, you know, it really comes down to understanding how they're doing things. And, you know, Sean's team was great at trying to throw us curveballs. But, you know, because of how many of these we've done throughout the years, you know, we've been around for 20 years, over 20 years here at RateLinx. So I think we were also able to bring some best practices in as well. And, you know, our system is built to do exactly what Sean's trying to do. You know, we put this thing together in a way where we're able to talk with the customer, understand their integration requirements, and then understand what we call the business rules. That's all those if-then statements that Sean was talking about, because we want to try to make it be very, very streamlined. So I think that's where the collaboration, where we had the same goal that Sean and his team did, whereas, you know, it's make it simple, man. Make it very easy, make it simple, make it quick. I mean, that's really what we try to focus on every single time we do these installs. So it was actually quite easy working with them.
Great to hear. Some integrations can take 6 months or more. How long did it take to get the right data points integrated before Wirebelt started using their new TMS?
I mean, you know, the actual integration side was no time at all. You know, our system integrating with a ERP out there, that's not a big deal. That's not a big trick. So that doesn't take very long. Again, it's the final little touches that you do. That's what I think makes us different. And that's what maybe made it take a little bit longer. And that's where part of that challenge is, you know, Sean and his team understanding that we can do it. And, you know, it's like, just tell us everything, and, you know, we can make this thing automate this whole process the way you want it. And because, you know, we can do all the freight in it, we can do all the parcel. It's the same application, the same screen. And, you know, when you have a partner like Paul and his team at WM Synergy, I mean, obviously the integration, you know, there really wasn't anything we had to figure out. His team was incredibly helpful. So, you know, think about that. This was like the first time we integrated to visual, and we're able to knock that out and deliver everything that wire belt needed from an automation perspective in just a few months, which really that's what we do.
Impressive. So Paul, as we've already established, this is a lot different than what goes on in the industry oftentimes, right?
It sure is. We're thankful that a lot of our customers, wire belts and many other, have partnered with Shannon and the RateLinx team to experience similar results. So it's great to see that, Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon, how did it become easier to execute shipments, and what are some of the efficiencies that wire belt gained?
I think the biggest stuff that I remember from when we first engaged with wire belt, it was just a few of the little automation things that they needed, like when they're shipping orders together, make it easy. So they have a nice easy way where they've got their orders that they want to all put together onto one. They click a button, add the orders to it, and now it combines everything. And then when it writes back to visual, it does all the work in visual for them. So it's not like they have to go back into visual and mark those different orders as being shipped. Some of the other rules around freight cost and how they want that handled, just automating it based on their different order types, maybe different customers, things like that. So, what are the decisions that the user had to make in the past? It's like, just give it to us and we'll put it in the system. That way you don't have to really make those decisions anymore or do those processes anymore. It's just as automated as possible. And then the last part was probably the shipping documents, printing those out completely exactly the way that they want them, because of how our system is built with templates. That one problem where you'd get a document per line item, that completely went away. We're able to group everything together onto one doc, and that way they don't have to go reproduce anything. So again, just taking all these little requirements and taking them from maybe 80% of what they needed to the final 100%, and that's basically what we did for wire belt, and that's what we do for everybody.
Great. So Sean, anything that you'd like to add? And after the integration, how much time and freight spend did wire belt save?
Yeah, I think Shannon hit along ahead there with the documents that print out, depending on what country we're shipping to, what type of documents automatically print out. Our sales team has access to a portal where they can look up tracking numbers and everything, as well as our accounting department, so we can easily look stuff up, print stuff, print labels or pack lists or anything if we wanted. But I think aside from that, like the biggest thing that sticks out is like we're saving about 2 hours a day in just processing shipments alone. And that's a lot of time savings, especially with our shipping department, getting some stuff out the door, especially with how busy we've been in the past couple of years. And also we're less prone to errors too. We're using one screen, we enter one sales order, we get what we need, and it's done, rather than just starting in visual and then ending in another software. So I think the 2 hours a day definitely sticks out to us.
Okay, so now let's offer a bit of a recap here and address the title of today's session, Top 5 Ways to Save Money and Time Shipping in Visual. How did shipping get easier for you?
So I think our top things is, not switching screens or having to double enter into visual and another shipping software. You get all your modes just on one screen. You really have less IT involvement because it's all just operating in the background and it updates automatically. And I think just the ability to integrate fully with visual as it pertains to order entry, you get your flexibility in there, especially with work orders and everything. So that's the stuff that we like. So.
So over to you, Paul. You've been working with top manufacturing companies for decades. Can you tell us why it's so important to have all modes in one place?
Yeah, to repeat what Sean and Shannon mentioned, you know, when you have people learning a new system, they don't really want to be learning multiple different user interfaces or user experiences. They don't want to be copying and pasting between two systems like the order ID and the pack list number, maybe trace information. They want to be able to group shipments in one screen, group pack list in one screen. So when there's training going on and to get adoption of a new system, it's much easier to be in one system. And that also leads to ensuring less errors. When you're going between screens, copying and pasting and typing in different areas, there's more opportunity for errors, which can certainly be costly if you ship something to the wrong place and somebody wanted that and needed that the date that you said you're going to get to them. And then the same process for when you're hiring new folks. You know, today's environment, you know, especially with companies that are growing and getting busy, it's hard to find talented labor, skilled labor, and bringing new folks in and training them on one screen, similar to learning the new system for the current employees, is a lot easier. So I think those are the big reasons why, you know, Sean's mentioning the two screens. Sean, I probably forgot a few things there that we've talked about, but I think that's a big reason why it's been great for Wirebelt and many of our customers.
Thank you. Over to you, Shannon. We all know that not every integration is built alike. Can you expand on what Sean mentioned about a fully integrated TMS?
Yeah, again, it is the concept of the single screen. It's like, in order for us to deliver that user experience where they're staying on one screen, one system, we have to make sure that we're pulling everything that's needed in order to create that shipment from visual. That way they don't have to go back into a different screen to grab another value in order to enter it onto the shipment. And you know, that's where we're able to do that, because our system, you know, the real term is extensible. You know, we talk about customizing and all that. We don't customize. It's extensible. So we're extending its capabilities, and we're able to add on these types of fields, you know, whatever it is that a customer may need. So it's not like we come into every install and we're like, hey, this is exactly how you have to work. We might have some basic integration that we start with, and then from there, you know, like Wirebelt might have had a new user field, or a user field that we had to pull for them that had to now print on a document. Had absolutely nothing to do with, you know, generating a shipping label or even a bill of lading, but it just was needed maybe on a packing slip just for their customer. It's like, that's what we mean by completely integrating this. So it's more than just what's needed for shipping. It's also what's needed to complete that shipment from their perspective, you know, for their customers and things like that. And then now that we have all that data, now from a reporting standpoint or customer service standpoint, they can search by these fields, find the shipments. It just makes everything so much easier. And I think that's what removes a lot of the friction that I think some companies feel when it comes to the transportation side. It's usually just the integration's not quite complete, and that's what we're able to do for our customers.
Great. And back to you, Sean. I'm sure there were some business outcomes from using ShipLinx TMS. Can you share what they were?
Yeah, I mean, we have about 2 people that process shipments every day. So, I mean, we're saving probably about 1,400 hours a year just without entering data into multiple screens. And that is probably around like 52,000 a year in just labor savings, which is huge. And also the accuracy was much better, we're less error prone. And even just going back to all the documents that print out, they are printing much faster than what they are, and we're saving a lot on just buying paper, as we're not killing trees anymore. So that's one of the things that we like. So
it's fantastic. So back to you, Shannon. In a nutshell, can you tell us and show us what RateLinx does?
Yeah, I mean, we help make the dream a reality, I guess, is the short way to say it. And here, let me share my screen here real quick. Oop. All right, so this is the one screen. This is the famous one screen that we talk about with respect to the shipping. So this is where the user can scan in their order number, does real-time integration with visual. So what that means is right now it's going to pull in the shipping information that's needed. So in this case, we're going to do packing. So it grabbed the line items for that order, shows everything up on top here that needs to be packed. If I want to consolidate another order with this one, I can just go click on that button and then I can type in another order. When I click add, it's going to verify that that order is going to the same destination, so it doesn't just blindly add anything. Once I'm done, you see it grabbed those line items now from that order that I want to pack. So now, if I'm a user, I can just start packing. So you put in the item number, I put in the quantity, and you start adding it to your box. 02. And then when that box is full, I can close it. I can scan a box ID to get dimensions. So if I put in a box ID, I can get weight, or weight can be read from a scale. So now that closes the box. If I want, I can quickly pack the rest of these by cheating with the mouse, and then close the box. So once that whole shipment is ready to go, I press my plus key to say it's done, rates it, I ship it, and now what it's going to do is it's going to generate my shipping labels. It's going to write back to visual and close out those shipments and then pop up my packing slip. So if I was hooked to a real printer and a real shipping workstation, the packing slip prints out. Printing out a packing slip automatically doesn't demo well, so that's why we pop it up to the screen. So you can see this is box 1 of 2. So this is doing a packing slip per box is how I'm configured right now. Some customers want a packing slip per order, no big deal. We change the template. Obviously it'll have their logos up here instead of ours. And that's where, this is just a crystal report. So we can make it look however they want it to look. So if I showed you wire belts, it's probably going to say wire belt up here and have a whole bunch of other information that they gave us that they wanted on the packing slip. And then here's what's in box number 2. You see the different orders, all the items, all that stuff. So again, you see how quick and easy that is to do a shipment. I combine multiple orders together, I packed them. If I have an LTL shipment, I can do an LTL shipment here. System sees it's LTL, so now it asks for pallets and pieces. I can store the NMFC numbers or the item numbers in here, so it defaults the freight class automatically for me. Add that, and then what this will do is rate shop. So it's going to rate shop across my LTL carriers. My transit time column is, so TNT is transit time, so it shows you how many service days it's going to be. If I want to go with FedEx Freight Economy, just pick it, and I ship it, and then it's going to print out the bill lading, again, send back information back into visual. And then here's this is just a sample VIX bill lading, pretty common standard that we use. But again, this can be modified to look however anybody needs it to look. Again, it's just another crystal report within the system that we can modify. So it's like, this is the basic, quick, easy screen doing real-time integration, pulling information from visual when it needs it, sending information back in real time, so that way it's updating those orders with the tracking number, freight charges, and whatever else is needed. And then, as Sean said, all of this is in the cloud. So this is the web side of things where I can go into my shipping history. So this is where customer service can now have access to shipping history if they want. So they can view these shipments that occurred. I can go to the details of that shipment, see where it shipped from, see where it's shipping to. I can go down and actually see the details of what was shipped. breakdown of the charges, and then attributes. So attributes is anything that we want to store with that given shipment that we might need for printing on a report or searching or just plain old reporting. And that's where we can just save any attribute that we want with whatever name we want to call it. And then they do get these standard trend KPIs. Just again, giving them, the ability to not only see their freight, but also understand how the freight is doing and manage it a little bit better if they can. See what's causing their freight costs to go up, or see what's causing their freight costs to go down. That way they have a little better understanding of everything. And then they can do tracking. So again, this is a full TMS. We are in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for TMS. So we do have full tracking. So I can track all my parcel shipments here. I can track all my LTL shipments. If this one hasn't been picked up yet, it's one I'd probably just created. So if I go back to tracking and I look at, here's all my shipments arriving today. There's some LTLs, truckloads. Again, it can track everything. And then you can also do your reporting. This is where we've got some dynamic reports. So if you want to report on all your shipping information here, you've got all your details, and then it's called a dynamic report because I can dynamically change the columns that I'm reporting on. So if I just want to do a quick carrier name and shipments. So I want to do a quick little, shipment by carrier name, and then I can open it all the way up. You can then export this to Excel if you want, or I can schedule this, have this come to me daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and it'll just arrive in my inbox. And then the very last piece of our solution is invoicing. So for those customers that have more complicated pricing, we can also do freight audit. So we can capture the freight invoice here and also the parcel invoice and audit both of them. So that way, when the invoice comes in, again, we're capturing the full origin destination of that invoice, whether it's parcel or LTL or truckload. We have the breakdown of all the charges, and then it will audit that rate to ensure that it's matching your contracts that you have in place or your pricing agreements that you have in place. So that way you can do the full life cycle on the transportation side with the solution. And the way that we deploy is you just deploy the pieces that you need. So that's where some companies start out with just the small parcel, with just the single screen that they ship from doing small parcel. And then when they get to a point where they want to do more, we can just add on those pieces as they need it. And it's pretty easy for us. And that way you're only paying for what you need and you're only paying for what you use. And if there's no value to use anything else, don't use it. And then you're not paying for it. So it's not like you have this huge TMS that's being deployed that you have to pay for and figure out how to maneuver through it. And it's very complex. It's actually, we like to think, very simple, very quick and easy, but yet very powerful. Because it can do a lot of stuff. Give you an idea, our largest customer has a $4 billion annual freight spend that is going through our system. So it's like we have that size, and that's what this whole system is built on. So from a stability standpoint, reliability standpoint, that's the backbone that you're on. It is true enterprise class. And that's what allows us, I think, to come in to a wire belt and deliver a solution to them that they probably didn't think was possible. Complete integration, of course, you have to, is kind of our view on things. We have customers that do 200,000 shipments a day through the system. There can't be any manual when you have that type of volume. So why not automate the whole thing for wire belt? they're going to save time and they're going to save money. And that's going to allow them to focus on the business, not focus on creating a packing slip, you know, that's just no value add there. So this is kind of our quick 10-cent tour of the whole solution. I mean, there's a lot to it, but this is the main, I think this is the star of the show right here, which is just that single, very simple shipping screen. You know, this left side of the screen can be modified. I think when you see the, get back to the packing screen. So this packing screen, you see we've got lot serial numbers. So for the trace customers, that's how trace works. So we have customers using it. I'm not trace enabled with my demo, so that's why it's grayed out. But again, we've got, you know, what else do we need? If there was custom logic that I had to create on this screen, we can do that. And again, that's the extensibility that we talk about with our solution. And then we compile it. It's its own little DLL that sits with the ShipLinx front end. And so when they restart ShipLinx, it just downloads their version and rebuilds it. So that way, from an IT standpoint, once we get this thing installed, there's nothing to maintain from that point forward. ShipLinx maintains itself. And then all the brains are up in Microsoft Azure being hosted. So from that perspective, with rate changes, carrier additions, we're maintaining all that on our back end. So that way it's very lightweight from an IT perspective. So that's the quick tour of RateLinx and what the solution looks like.
Wonderful. Great system. Powerful. I think we're going to go and move on to our Q&A now. So Paul, I'm going to hand it back over to you for those questions that have come in. You're on mute, Paul.
Thanks, Michelle. So we have quite a few questions for all of us to answer on here. So I'll start with you, Sean. Stephanie asked, how long ago did Wirebelt integrate using RateLinx?
We've been live since October of last year. So we're going on 4 months now. So it's been going pretty well.
Great. Are the shipping documents saved to visual as PDF to reprint or reference later? Also from Stephanie.
So when we ship, the shipping documents, they're available in the portal, but depending on what we're actually shipping, those documents print out automatically. So you'd be able to look up the order in the portal, and then once you click on it, you'd be able to view either the pack list, the BOL, or commercial invoice, or any type of documents that are associated with that order.
And if we needed to, Shannon, I'm sure we could link the visual order screen, every entry screen, right to the portal to grab those documents too.
Yeah, if you guys want, if there was a need for that. Otherwise, we keep them all. You just go into the web and click reprint, and it'll pop them up for you.
So does RateLinx do anything with the shipped status, which then allows for invoicing or prevents invoicing depending on what's happened with that pack list? So yes. So on the visual side, once you ship it, it's the normal flow. The pack list gets loaded, then you can invoice it as normal.
Yep.
So it has the same logic that you'd want to have there that visual has.
Yep.
So Dave asked, does the tracking and charge to customer get inserted back to visual? So I think that's the freight cost, is that, and the tracking number go back into the visual screen for order entry to look at? And the answer is yes, Dave. Stephanie, another good question. Will it handle inter-branch transfer shipments as well, or only customer shipments?
Yes, it does do inter-branch. I know we've got, I don't know, do you guys do that, Sean?
I think we do, yes, but I'm not sure. I'd have to ask our shipping manager to see if we actually use ShipLinx for that.
I know we have another visual customer that definitely does that.
Yep. So no multi-site in the visual system, but it goes from a inter-branch transfer between locations. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Dave asked, how flexible are freight charges? Can you put an example in here So for small parcel, we charge the customer a markup on our negotiated rates. How is this handled in RateLinx?
Yeah, within the ShipLinx system, you've got, so this is like, this goes back to 1990, I don't know, 1990 something for me. Every time we do an install, we'd always ask, when it comes to freight charges and the send back, what do you want? And you know, is it list plus a markup? Is it your discounted rate plus a markup? So within the system, you've got those flags that you can set, but every customer, they do it all very differently, and that's what we build into the system for you. So that's not a problem at all.
Stephanie, I know you asked this from the timestamp before Shannon talked about it, but yes, it can include serial numbers, traceability in the system. When we create, this is from Aniket, when we create a shipment, is it creating a pack list and visual? Yes, it does, and part traceability, so we can pick specific lot to ship per line when creating the shipment. So absolutely. Please show how our suppliers use this tool and help us with the purchase orders that we have with them.
Oh, I can show you that real quick if you want.
Sure.
I change real quick. Let me share my screen. Boop. All right, so I'm going to log in as a vendor. So I log in as a vendor. So see, the screen is now sanitized since it's your supplier that's logging in. So they can go in and they can create an inbound shipment for you. So this is going to show all the POs, all the purchase orders that you've sent to them. So they can pick the PO that they want to ship. Shows the items that are on the PO, and then they tell you what they're going to ship. So I'm going to do one of those, 0 of those. I click ship. So now it takes them to the shipment screen where they're going to tell you, I've got, 10 pieces of this item, and it's a total of 200 pounds. So then when I hit ready to ship, what it's going to do is it puts it into what we call our load builder system. And what load builder does is it's going to take all these inbound orders and optimize them. So it could be creating a multi-stop truckload, or it could be creating a LTL shipment or a parcel shipment. So it's like this is the cream of the crop when it comes to inbound shipping. The other one that you could do if you want is just do routing guide. So here they would just put in there where are they shipping from, where are they shipping to, and then they put in their details. I got 10 pounds, 10 pounds. And then it's going to go through your list of carriers and show them that, oh, ship it to me FedEx ground. So you can do routing guide, or you can have it do the full-blown capture shipment information, do order planning and consolidation, and then it will communicate back to the supplier, hey, here's the carrier to use, here's your bill lading, or here's your parcel label to use to put on the shipment. And then because we have that information now you can track that shipment as it comes in, so you know when it's going to arrive at your dock, to help you with receiving as well, to get rid of the blind receipts. So that's the quick way we can do inbound.
Thanks, Shannon. That was great. So Stephanie has another question. Good question. Did you use, so Sean, did you use rate shopping or any freight audit solutions and see any savings?
We didn't use the freight audit. A lot of the orders that we send out are, they have, our customers will have carrier specific requirements. So they'll either go out freight build or freight collect. A lot of people have a collect account number. I know that for LTL shipments, we do have some, depending on the carrier, like we'll actually give our customers our discounted rate. So that saves them money in the long run. But as far as like freight savings, like we don't really do any rate shopping or anything. It's just whatever the customer wants out, the carrier they want to use, that we'll send it out.
Thanks, Sean. Shannon, anything you want to add there?
No, I mean, that's all just configurable within our system. So it comes down to each customer's need. Yeah, I think Wirebelt's mainly customer driven with their carrier selection.
Yep. This is from Chris. How does the user specify the location the parts are being picked from when shipping to relieve inventory in visual?
When we bring up the ShipLinx screen, once we start packaging an order, if it's an inventory item, we have a screen where we're able to see the locations that we have quantities available. And I believe it's actually listed by the most to the least. So we'll be able to select a certain location from that. So it'll pull directly from that location, and then that information will write back to visual on like the inventory transactions as well.
Yeah, and that was a change we had to make for you guys to enable that ability, so that way the user could stay in the one screen and see the different locations. So yeah, that was one of the one of the changes that you guys gave us. Mm-hmm.
And Pam asks, did you say you can ship specific lines on an order and the shipping docs only print out these specific lines?
Correct. Yep.
Yep. We do a lot of blanket orders where I think in visual there is a line status that we use. So if the line status is set to either inherit or firm, you can have a bunch of different ship dates on there. And then when shipping goes to process the order, they're only going to see that one or two line items that have the actual specific ship date, while the rest is firm. So if someone in customer services changes the line status to released, then shipping will be able to see that on the ShipLinx end.
Great. Mm-hmm. I think we talked about this a little bit, but can you handle international shipping by ocean, air, and rail, and/or rail?
Yep. Oh yeah, it's a full. Again, that's the Gartner TMS Magic Quadrant. We can handle all those modes.
A couple more here. Valeria, for parcel shipments, labels can be sent out to our label printer question?
Yep, there's direct integration. That's why we use that ShipLinx desktop client. It will integrate directly and drive your peripherals. So read from your scales if it's hooked up, and drive your thermal label printer and automatically print that label out for you.
So another good question by Anacott. We have UPS and FedEx discounts in place. So will it pull the negotiated rates and we will print to the dedicated, this is a little bit the same question, sorry, UPS and FedEx printer depending on the carrier.
Say that again, will it do what?
So UPS and FedEx discounts in place, we negotiate the rates, and when print labels, will it go to a dedicated FedEx printer versus UPS printer based, basically.
So UPS and FedEx gave you printers. I mean, yes, it can do that. You can set up two different label printers if you have to. Typically, what we see is that goes away, and you just have one, because you just need a 4x6 inch label, and the UPS and FedEx will print on a 4x6 inch label anyway. So you don't have to have two different printers if you don't want to. We do have customers who need that because of their process that they do. And it's like on one side of the line or another. So it can do it, and it's doing it for some customers. It's just you don't have to if you don't want to. It'll all print on one printer if you want to.
And Pam asks, does the system feed to the invoicing side of Visual automatically? So yes.
Yep.
So great questions from everybody. There's one question here, what else does it do that a normal ERP doesn't do? So I think we talked a little bit about that, like rate shopping, grouping different orders, doing both LTL and parcel in the same screen, being able to do international shipments, keeping up with international shipment document changes, because they change sometimes every year depending on different things. So anything else, Sean or Shannon, you'd add to that question?
It's all the transportation is what it's going to do. It's going to be that full life cycle on the transportation side is how I like to kind of encapsulate it all.
Well, great. So I don't see any other questions. Here's another one. Follow up on visual shipment status field on the pack list. Occasionally we pack to ship something and it doesn't ship. Is there a way to reverse the shipment and change the status so it won't invoice? They're struggling with it apparently.
Yep, absolutely. That was a big deal that we wanted to make sure we got in there. We call it void. When you void a shipment, it then cancels it in visual, it backs it all out, it restores the inventory and all that stuff. And that's just automated. Click a button in our history screen, and that's it. It's a click of a button and it's done.
Aniket, we are using SourceDay for our PO, and is there any integration with SourceDay so the suppliers will have one system? So I'll take that because I don't know if you've run into SourceDay before, Shannon. But SourceDay and RateLinx and Visual all have great APIs, so we could certainly build that together. But that would be something that we'd have to look at in the discovery phase.
Yeah.
Yep. What if they already have a WMS system, can you make it work? RateLinx work with both Visual and the current WMS, so it would be an add-on TMS to both Visual and WMS.
Yep. Yeah, because it just comes down to what exactly do we have to pull from each one or send back to each one? Because a lot of times that's a typical integration for us for a larger customer. They've got the ERP and they've got the WMS. So the WMS is communicating to us during the wave plan to get the labels. That way they have the labels there for when they go pick, because they're doing a pick to label, for example, function.
The questions keep coming in, but they're good questions. So we have a few more minutes. So when allowing vendors to use to ship us goods, so when the vendors have access and ship us goods, are they able to print out our part number barcode on the outside of the package?
Yep, that's one of the advantages of using the inbound portal is now you can drive the documentation that you want on that shipment when it hits your dock. That way it just makes the receiving side much easier for you.
Last question, and the recording will be available. Miguel, good question. Dave asked, is there a server install supported?
What does that mean if the server install? Oh, putting it inside your firewall? No, we only do it in Azure. We don't go on premise anymore with our solution. What we found is it's just not, there's no real reason to not be able to do that anymore. I mean, there's no latency issues or anything like that. And it's too much to maintain anyways. Nobody wants to maintain it all.
So he mentioned that his server is in Azure, so that sounds good.
Yeah, if they're in Azure, then we're good.
All right. So great, thank you guys for all the questions. Michelle, do you want to wrap it up?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for presenting with us today, Shannon and Sean. Just to remind everyone, they will get a survey upon completion of this webinar. We appreciate you filling that out. And we will send this recording within 24 hours, but it'll probably come this afternoon. So keep an eye out for your email. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time today and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Shannon. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.